All right. Well, it's 11:30, so we're going to get started. I want to thank everybody and welcome you back to the Patient Safety Culture Survey Quality Improvement Series. Today's presentation is going to be on the non-punitive response to error follow-up. On April 20th, we did a presentation on non-punitive response to error, and we shared a tool, and today is going to be the follow-up. I first off wanted to just apologize. On May 4th, this presentation was actually going to take place, but I had to cancel it and reschedule it for today. So just a reminder that these Patient Safety Culture Survey Quality Improvement series are every other Thursday. They're always going to be from 11:30 to 12, always the same phone number. The only thing that's going to change is the topic and the link. So just to kind of recap, what we've been doing is we've been picking one measure set or one domain within the Patient Safety Culture Survey, and we've been doing a 30-minute presentation that talks about the questions in the survey that correlate to that one area, and then we share just one tool that has been proven via case studies to actually make improvement in that area, domain, and in those measures. And then the following presentation 2 weeks down the road, we do a follow-up to that where a facility or peer will share how they've implemented that tool and used it in their facility. And then afterwards we go on with a different topic. So we're trying to keep these just 30 minutes or less, so I'm going to get started. Just to recap, if I can get my slides to work, I apologize. The non-punitive response to error domain consists of 3 questions. Staff feel like their mistakes are held against them. When an event is reported, it feels like the person is being written up, not the problem. And staff worry that mistakes they make are kept in their personal file. So I just wanted to recap that those are the questions that are within the domain. And then, so on April 20th, we talked about the communication and optimal resolution process, also known as CANDOR. So just to recap on that, the communication and optimal resolution process is a process that healthcare institutions and practitioners can use to respond in a timely, thorough, and just way when unexpected events cause patient harm or potential harm. Additionally, there are several modules which I'm actually going to dive into here real quick later on in the presentation, but long story short, it's a whole process about how to prevent adverse drug events or how to respond when an adverse drug event takes place. And I know the questions within the domain are primarily about staff feeling comfortable reporting and creating a safe culture of patient safety, a safe environment where staff feel like they're not being written up or it's not being held against them, that type of stuff. There is a specific module within this tool that is all about care for the caregiver when something happens. And it helps your facility to integrate that particular tool and that particular module for care for the caregiver. So because of us canceling the May 4th one and rescheduling it for today, I was going to have a hospital on the call to share how they implemented and used the CANDOR process in their facility. However, because I had to reschedule, the hospital was not able to join us today, so I have their slides and their notes, and I'm going to be presenting it on their behalf. So again, I apologize for this having happened, but what can you do? So let's see here. Moving on. Overall, St. John's in Missouri actually was the facility that was going to be presenting today. They did a call for patient safety within their hospital. And when we talk about patient safety concerns, we mean anything that might impact the well-being of the patient. So it's not something that necessarily reached the patient and caused harm. It's anything that might. It's that potential. So a common misconception is that patient safety is about reminding people to be more careful, but in fact, healthcare workers are some of the most careful people in the world. So improving patient safety is about changing the culture in healthcare from one of blame to one where we examine our systems from beginning to end to reduce opportunities for mistakes. So St. John's, their implementation started with the Communication and Optimal Resolution Toolkit, which provides 8 modules to assist organizations in implementing each phase as I'm going to describe and break down for you in the next few slides. And of course, most of this comes from their input. But one key point that they made is that organizations committed to the program should expect to implement a number of leading practices to improve communication and response to adverse events. The guide provides additional details and guidance on several important activities, such as forming an active multidisciplinary project team that includes clinicians, support staff, patient and family advisors, nursing, and so on. Then conducting training sessions on the Candor process for all project team members. And then conducting ongoing communications and education with staff, patients, and families about the organization's commitment to the Candor process. And then engaging staff, patients, and families in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of the Candor process. So here's how it worked at St. John. Phase 1 is the assessment. It gives you 3 modules, which is the overview of the Candor process. Module 2 is obtaining organizational buy-in and support. And then Module 3 is preparing for implementation, and it's your gap analysis. So the Phase 1 activities occurred for them in the first month or so of the Candor process implementation. And the Phase 1 activities, they said, helped their organization kind of set the stage before beginning the actual implementation of the Candor process. The activities that they did included obtaining organizational buy-in and support, conducting a gap analysis, building project teams, and then defining the metrics to evaluate successful implementation of the Candor process. And again, the great thing about this tool and these resources is that St. John's couldn't express enough, is that it's very easy. They make it very streamlined for you, and everything, the tool is amazing. It walks you through everything step by step, from, again, getting the buy-in, giving an overview of the process, and then preparing for the actual implementation. So phase 2 of the Candor process of implementation was Module 4, 5, 6, and 7. So Module 4 was about event investigation and analysis. 5 was about response and disclosure communication. 6 was about care for the caregiver. And actually, towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to dive into Module 6 because of the questions within the non-punitive response to error domain in the patient safety culture. So they stated that phase 2 in the implementation of the process, which I can't even talk today, I apologize, operationalizes a timely, thorough, and just response to unexpected patient harm events. So to effectively implement the process, their organization had to provide sufficient training and education to the staff involved in each implementation task. They learned that all the activities that comprise the Candor process should include the patient and family whenever possible. And of course, that's going to vary by facility and where you guys are at with your patient and family engagement. During phase 2, they began to collect data on process and outcome measures. Data collection during this phase includes collection of Candor process measures related to patient safety. So again, the toolkit, if you don't know where to begin, helps you come up with metrics that give you some ideas of where to start and what to begin to measure. As this hospital began implementing the process, there was an action plan template that helps them track the progress of each implemented activity. And on the slide, on all these slides actually, anything that's like in a green text with an underline is actually a hyperlink that will take you to that specific tool. And then just to kind of go back here a minute, the actual original non-punitive response to error presentation that we did on April 20th that just talked about this tool and every single resource in detail. The slides from that were sent out a couple times, those all have hyperlinks on how to get to all of this information. But again, they're also in this one as well. let's see here. So then it moves into phase 3, which is actually the last phase and the last module. It's all about organizational improvement and sustainment. So Module 8 itself is all about organizational learning and sustainability. So it focuses on ensuring that the improvement processes that have been implemented will continue without interruption. So in this phase, the hospital began to track when the candor process is in control and when it is lost. It was important, they said, for them to continue to train and educate staff and to evaluate success through the data collection and the outcome measures. And sustaining the improvements and continuing to learn from the process was an important feature of the final implementation phase for them. So the common elements that supported sustaining their organizational improvement included the organization ensures that its mission, vision, and values support the candor process and an overall culture of patient safety, that the process supports and enhances the organization's quality improvement and patient safety initiatives, and that there was trust between the organization, its clinicians, its nurses, its all over its staff, medical staff, and its patients. It was established and sustained. That was a priority for them. So let's see here. I'm going to try my best to play just a quick little 5-minute video. So this Module 6, I just wanted to share with you. There are some links on here that are specific to this module about care for the caregiver, how to help provide support to staff when reporting an adverse event, how to try to build that overall culture or environment of where staff feel safe, like things aren't being held against them, it's not going in their permanent record, that type of thing. So bear with me while I share my desktop just to play this 5-minute video. I'm actually just going to share the nurse one. They have several, like on physician and other staff, sorry. And I'm just going to play the nurse one, but I included the links for all of them in case you're interested. So let's see. Bear with me here. Okay, here we go.
Sandy Brown.
Hi, this is Anna Martinez from 3B. I just got your text.
Oh, hi, Anna. I wanted to get in touch with you because your recent problem with your patient might be giving you some tough times emotionally, and I'd like to see if I can help. I'm a member of the hospital provider support team, and we offer emotional support to providers who've been involved in an adverse event.
Well, yeah, a friend of mine told me about what you do.
Well, I'd like to talk with you if that'd be all right.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
Well, I've already cleared it with your nurse manager, so what's a good time?
I'm up at 7. Is that too late?
No, that's perfect. Anna, I am so sorry this happened to you. It was quite a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've always been able to read Dr. Shortage before. So what is the support that you offer?
Well, I wear several hats here at the hospital, and the hat I'm wearing now is with the provider support team. We work with people like you who've been through adverse events and may still be feeling anxiety and self-doubt about what happened. We know that bad things happen to the very best of us. I've had adverse events, and I know how unsettling it can be. I'm here because we care about your well-being. Do you have any questions about this meeting or my role in it?
No, go ahead.
Well, it's important to know this is not an investigation. No report is going to be filed. It's a private meeting between you and me, and it stays that way. If you have any questions, I want you to feel free to speak out. I want you to participate as we talk. We got into the medical field because we care about people, so it hurts us when the patient has an unwelcome outcome. How have you been with this?
It's been awful. I can't believe I almost killed a patient. I keep running through my mind, how could I have made such a horrible mistake, a fatal mistake?
Well, we're not here to discuss the details of the case. Others will do that and find the facts and talk about preventive measures in the future. But you said it's been awful. How has it been awful for you personally?
I don't know. I just feel so bad. I can't believe I did such a stupid thing. I feel like I can't trust myself, and maybe no one else trusts me either. I see people looking at me, Why don't they just come out and say it? You're an idiot. You're careless. You're unprofessional.
Oh, Anna, it may not seem like it right now, but you are highly regarded by everybody here, and your colleagues believe in you. And you think people are looking at you accusing? They're not. They're sympathizing because they know it can be done.
Even the doctor blames me. He told the patient it was my fault. I kept running through my head the whole thing. I see 100 units. I've never made a big mistake like this before. I would never, ever do anything to hurt a patient.
Something like this really makes us question ourselves, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was awake all night thinking about quitting. I don't know, how can I stay here? I don't even know if I still have a career.
Is that a sense of guilt I'm hearing?
Yeah. That's probably most of it. Because I feel bad for men. Sure, that doctors can writing things. I just don't know why he can't use the same abbreviations as everyone else. But still, I'm the one who gave him the insulin, and I accept responsibility for that.
Something like that can cause a great deal of stress, to say the least. You said you weren't sleeping. Do you have other physical symptoms at the time, maybe?
I didn't eat much last night. I just felt so sick.
To work through this together. Why don't we slow down and talk about change? I'd like to spend the last part of this first meeting talking about self-care, your sleep, exercise, diet, and social outlet. What about your husband? Is he good at responding to your emotional needs during this time of stress? Are you able to talk with him about it?
Yeah, he's pretty supportive. Yeah, I can talk to him.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
So I know this video, the point of me sharing this video, it wasn't as good as the one I originally wanted to share. The one I wanted to share was actually 20 minutes long, and unfortunately, because these are 30-minute quick little presentations, it didn't allow for the time. But the reason why I actually shared this one is just Module 6 of the Candor toolkit is all about creating a safe environment or care for the caregiver. So it's letting staff, implementing that module and letting staff know that, one, these aren't going to be held against them, that it's all about trying to find out it's a process or a system issue. For example, in the video, it came down to handwriting and not having a standardized way of using abbreviations that the nurse could read, which led to an adverse drug event which potentially could have killed the patient. But the whole purpose of Module 6 within the Candor process is all about creating an environment where staff know that they can report an issue or an error and know that it's not going to be held against them, it's not going to go on their permanent record, it's not going to be used against them, but more so just used as a way to find out, okay, what happened, where in the process or in the system did something break down, and how can we fix that to prevent it happening in the future in our organization to other people or other staff members. So bear with me while I get out of this and go back to the presentation. Okay, here we go. So there are other videos that I shared, and the tools. So there's actually notes, and it's a PowerPoint file, and then there's actually an implementation guide on how to implement Module 6 of the Care for the Caregiver about event reporting. So that's why I wanted to dive into that a little bit, and I'm seeing we got about 10 minutes to go, so let me just kind of dive into what that part of the module does. It helps create a non-punitive, blame-free environment. So the one organization that was going to be sharing today, St. John's, they used it to develop a culture of patient safety that encouraged people to report adverse events and near misses or even close calls without fearing what might happen to them. And it created an environment where coworkers felt that they are full partners in the job of improving the safety of the patient care care processes and systems, that it wasn't just them and everything was their fault. And the organization's primary response to adverse events is to learn from them and not to assign blame or impose discipline. So their culture of safety is where people are able and willing to report both adverse events, close calls, near misses without fear of punishment, that will lead, to a safer environment for not only patients but also coworkers, physicians, nurses, patients and their families, as well as visitors. So, there we go. Part of that includes a non-punitive policy on patient safety reporting. So theirs and also the one that they created is based on Module 6 of the Candor process. It's designed to encourage coworkers to feel comfortable reporting adverse events and near misses and close calls, and to actively participate in improving processes and systems within the hospital. So at this time, it acknowledges that individuals are responsible and accountable to the patient, the public, and each other for doing whatever they can to make care safer, or the processes safer, or the system safer. And I see I have a typo, I apologize. And overall, their policy helps to create a safe healing environment, so the care for the caregiver, where each individual is responsible for using, of course, sound judgment and being aware of potential hazards to patients before taking action. So there is accountability on the caregiver, but it's not that blame, the fear of being blamed or being disciplined. It's all about learning from it. So finally, overall, they have been for several years living a culture of patient safety. So it's St. John's Medical Center in Missouri. Through this whole process, they developed a patient safety policy and brochure. And so overall, they created an institution-wide policy regarding non-punitive reporting, as well as a brochure entitled Living a Culture of Patient Safety. This was developed by its Culture of Safety Subcommittee, which was also a component or a result of the Candor process that they implemented. It's signed by the president, CEO, and mailed to all co-workers at their home. The brochure reinforces the non-punitive reporting policy, and it encourages all coworkers to report errors. So I'm going to show you what they shared, and I'm going to, I don't know if it's going to let me zoom in here. There we go. So initially on this brochure, the first page is all about a message of the organization. It's a reiteration of their mission and their vision and their goals about creating a culture of patient safety, but primarily it's all about care for the caregiver and developing and living out a culture of patient safety, how it's important to everyone to share a sense of openness to improving the hospital systems and processes, and that it's important that they trust each other, that everyone wants to do their best every day. So it's just a message providing support. Let me read some of the stuff here. It says, we in healthcare hold a sacred trust. Patients trust us with their lives. Family members trust us with their loved ones. Nothing we do is more important than working to ensure the safest environment possible for our patients to show that their trust is well placed. We trust each other, and we don't believe the people that come to work to do a bad job or make an error, but given the right set of circumstances, any one of us can make a mistake. That's why our culture of patient safety focuses on prevention, not punishment. We see patient safety events as opportunities to learn. We encourage coworkers to report events and near misses and even close calls in a cooperative, open way without the fear of punishment. We must never let good enough be good enough. We must be relentless in our pursuit of finding ways to improve our hospital, its systems, and processes. We must look past the easy answer, that is it's someone's fault, to answer the tougher questions about why a mistake happened in the first place. To do that, we must all work together in a spirit of trust. Thank you for doing your part to make our culture of patient safety part of our daily work life. So that is like the introduction to the brochure, and I guess I forgot to ask how often it's sent out to to the staff. And I think it's also put in their employee handbook for new staff members or team members and so on. But within the brochure, it then opens up and it talks about a call to patient safety. It's all about patient safety culture, how it came about, why it's important, and then it talks about the commitment the organization has on patient safety. Again, it talks about their mission and their vision. And then it has a really big section here in the middle about a non-punitive, blame-free environment that they have created at their organization, as well, again, as accountability, of course. And then they leave it, at the end, they wrap up and they leave it up to the staff member. Patient safety is your call. Because patient safety is everyone's responsibility, everyone has a duty to report his or her concerns. Everyone shares their responsibility of improving safety. By reporting our concerns, we are helping each other achieve this goal together. Remember, reporting is about improving processes, procedures, and systems for the hospital overall, not about blaming individuals. If you have a concern about safety of a member, please feel free to speak up and know that you are in a blame-free environment and we can all learn from it. And then it just goes on. So I just wanted to share this with you. Again, it's a copy in the slides. It has been posted out on the website. I remember reading a comment about that facilities have the right or ability to adapt this to fit their needs if they want to use it within your facility. Let me exit full screen here. And essentially, we got 3 minutes to spare. That is the last slide. So before I let you guys go, I just want to remind you of a couple of housekeeping items. We are recording these meetings. It takes a few days for the recording to get finalized, and then we post them out on the Wyoming Quality Improvement Matters website. It's www.wyqim.com. Any webinar that we do for the state of Wyoming through MBQIP and FLEX is posted out on that website. But essentially what I just want to remind you of is these patient safety culture quality improvement series happen every other Thursday, and they're always at the same time from 11:30 to 12. The conference line is always going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to change is the web link. So usually the day before and the day of the call, I will send out a reminder with handout and the save the date that will have the link to access. So the next call is going to be on June 1st. And one other thing, I appreciate you guys attending these. If you have any feedback on these events and whether or not they're working for you or how we can better improve, please feel free to email me because I always welcome comments from you guys and feedbacks on how I can make this more of value. Secondly, I just want to apologize. This non-punitive response to error follow-up was actually supposed to be on May 4th, following the original one that took place on April 20th, but I had to reschedule it for today. How these, which is why we couldn't have our speaker, and that's why you were hearing me. So I apologize. But going forward, how these are working, again, just as a reminder, is each domain. So the Patient Safety Culture Survey baseline results are out. Out of that, we identified, I think it's like 5 or 6 domains, which are at the lower end of performance for the CAHs in Wyoming that participated. So how it works is we focus on one topic in one domain on one webinar. And I will talk about the questions in the survey that had to do with that domain. And then I will share just one tool that has been proven via case studies and all that fun stuff to actually impact and improve that section in that domain of the Patient Safety Culture Survey. Then as a follow-up, 2 weeks later on the next presentation, it is the same topic, but instead we're having a peer share how they've implemented and used that tool that was shared on the previous call. I'm trying to get the Wyoming hospitals in our state to share. In the past, we did one on SBAR, and then 2 weeks following, we had Powell Valley share how they implemented and used SBAR in their hospital. So, but if it is a different tool that has not been used in our state yet, then I am reaching outside to get a different peer to share. So that's kind of how they're going to work. The first call will be about, hey, these are the questions, here's the tool that's been proven to work, here's information about the tool, here's all the resources and links about the tool, and then the following webinar will be about a facility sharing how they implemented the tool, and it'll allow you to ask questions on anything you have, whether of how did they implement it, barriers, lessons learned, that type of thing. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go, and I hope to see you all again on June 1st for our next quick 30-minute presentation. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.